Hey everybody, my name is Cedric and welcome to Bandite, and welcome to this time lapse. So today I'll be showing you how I'm showing a time lapse how I made an entire scene with a character in it. Well, making an entire scene might be a little bit of an over exaggeration because it's kind of more like a key shot. I sculpted the necessary parts that are in frame and then left the rest to be kind of to their own devices. But yeah, I was going for a little bit more. I took some elements from creature designs, more humanoid creature designs, and tried to make some kind of aquatic amphibian human hybrid, but still to a degree more human than anything else. And I was going for this kind of melancholic tone, this kind of character that has lost something. So yeah, right from the start when I started sculpting, I already tried to put in the expression there. So that's the thing I've been practicing as well, is sculpting or posing emotions, subtle emotions, because it's pretty straightforward to make somebody like angry, or sad, or happy, But I feel like more subtle emotions are, can tell a greater story. So yeah, that was that's what I was going for. By the way, something else I wanted to talk about is the sculpting tools. I'm still using Blender 2.9 build from early July, because every build since then, or every like other branch I've tried, they I think Pablo removed the sculpt paintbrush, and I do not know why. I have a sneaking suspicion this might be because the cloth brush isn't really finished yet, and maybe he wants to focus. I tweeted out to him, but he hasn't replied. If somebody like knows why this is, maybe they want to keep the experimental features a little bit more. Like they want to work on them some more. But as far as I can tell, it's a little bit convoluted how it works at the moment, but it does work, and it does work very nice. I'll come back to it once I start painting this beautiful man. Anyway, so another thing I tried with this, and I'm trying, you can see putting in some details here, is like, what I've been trying lately is putting more details in my sculpts, because I've been doing some like Disney sculpts and very stylized sculpts, and I've been getting into a comfort zone where I can pick a reference, a very stylized reference, and approach that pretty accurate, but without adding details or adding like a fine finesse. So this was my first real practice with like trying out new brushes, because I've also been too addicted to the grab brush. So I've been trying out, I do love the draw sharp brush. You can see me use it here. It's really nice to put in like fine detail. And also another thing that I maybe can recommend is staying away from the smooth brush once you start detailing. And there's a lot of things in here. He has a little bit too much of a smoochy face here, puttering his lips. But I did correct that later. One thing I did was send this to a friend of mine who's a designer, and she gave me some tips and some silhouette tricks. Also the idea of adding a hat and all that good stuff. I don't know if I recorded every piece of it. You can see me like starting to add clothes. It's still like a little bit challenging for me, because at this point I didn't like wanted to create an entire scene, but at some point I was like, you know what, I'll make an entire key shot, make this like a 2:1 frame ratio, and tell kind of a story more than just having another bust sculpt. And I'll be going for that like more often, to have more elements within my scene. I also have to practice more on like creating entire scenes instead of making it myself a little bit too easy with just sculpting a bust, lighting it nicely, and I still do that from time to time to practice, of course. But I think like in general, I've been practicing more on things outside of my comfort zone. I think that's also why I've not been uploading too much content lately, is because I only feel comfortable sharing stuff if I'm really happy with the result, or like making tutorials about something that I really know a lot about. Or like I feel to a certain degree that I have enough proficiency to share valuable information with you. I'm getting there with sculpting, and I am planning to make sculpting tutorials, especially on the face. Start making like how to sculpt a skull, and how to like build up flesh and build a nose, build a mouth, ears, eyes, and all that good stuff, right? Or at least how I approach it, because I've also started following a lot of courses, and the thing I noticed is that there's a lot of different approaches, and it's mostly always about like practice and not like bending down to the easiest path that gets you like kind of good results. But I think I started with doing with this, and I've really started doing with artworks after this, is to really be harsh on myself, not to be afraid of starting anew. You can see me like, this is the part I'm least happy about, is the scarf. Like having this folded, like fine cloth scarf. I kind of tried to cheat some things away, and you will see me go over it a lot before the end. But yeah. Yeah, I already lit the scene a little bit, because I already want to check what kind of mood I was going for. The thing I definitely did wrong here was not knowing really what the story was at the beginning. I knew I wanted to make the character a little bit melancholic, and like reaching out to something that was maybe not to tell a story. I had a story in my head, but I kind of don't want to explain what the story is, because I've heard so many interpretations from people who've seen it, that I was like, you know what, I'm gonna keep it to the viewer's interpretation. And yeah, as well here, you can see me here being a little bit lazy, being a little bit. I'm sculpting a hand. I'm like, okay, I can make this work if I just keep on sculpting it. And it's kind of lazy in a way. It takes more time, but you know. And then I was like, you know what? Stop being lazy and start building a base mesh for your hand. So I made some capsules. I started using only capsules to build like the body and the hands and stuff. Because I feel like if you use capsules, you always get these nice shapes. And of course, depends what you're going for, what kind of stylization or what kind of shapes you're going for. But so I started like building out the hands, and this really helped me a lot more posing the hand and getting the pose right before like starting to sculpt again. And I'm actually really happy with how the hand turned out. But yeah, there's another thing where I start to practice more. I'm actually working on artwork now with a lot of hands, and you'll see that when it gets there. I'm sometimes recording part of the process. It's also like looking at reference. I keep like pulling in this point, and I think at this point, if you've been on this channel, I become a little bit of a broken record. But I can't keep stressing enough that reference is really key. Like not only for, let's say if you're making this kind of character, like not only using one type of reference for the entire artwork maybe, but like even, okay, I'm working on a hand now, and on my other screen, there is only hands. There's a bunch of hands. I think the best, and I'm kind of trying to replicate the, even though you cannot see the underside of the hand in the artwork, I took this as an opportunity to kind of practice the hand, the shape, and yeah, really learned a little bit from it. But yeah, I think the best resource is still Pinterest, because Pinterest has a, like, if you click on one thing, like you type in hand, and then you see a stylized hand you kind of want to go for, and you click on it, then the next results under what you selected are good follow-ups on what you clicked on. So it has a very good yeah, I don't know how to call this, recommended or suggestions for what you're looking for, and it mostly turns out to exactly what I'm looking for. Like if I'm want to create some kind of creature, and then I type in creature, and I have to kind of scroll a couple of yards before finding something that I like. But then I click on it, and then under that I'll find a lot of stuff that I like. So yeah, Pinterest is a place to go. There's a couple of other resources that I use, but mainly for inspiration. I go on Reddit a lot these days, and I follow a lot of art and imaginary horrors and creatures and imaginary dragons and all that kind of stuff. You have a lot of subreddits where they share art, but I feel like it's not a good resource to try and find reference because it's so linear, the posting. You can bookmark posts, of course, but still it's very... like the most recent post is the one you'll see, right? And it's not mostly the one you're looking for. Here I'm kind of playing with the glass shader, by the way, because I still wanted to render this in Eevee because I can't be bothered rendering something in Cycles. I did do some render tests in Cycles. I didn't record those, I think, but I tried to render the subsurface scattering. And I only found out later, because I tried to have a subsurface scattering pass, but I was like, oh, that doesn't exist, so I can't use that. But I only later found that that pass is the diffuse... I don't even know what it's called at the moment. The scatter diffuse, or the indirect diffuse pass kind of shows the subsurface scattering in a nice way. So you could use that pass. By the way, yeah, I was coming back to this. Here's where I'm starting to sculpt paint. And this is really something that's missing in the latest builds, or even like in the official build. Like every day I'm trying to look at the builds, or look even at like the developer forums where this feature has gone, but it's just gone, and you can't even like download the correct Blender build anymore. And it's a real shame, because I guess there is a valid reason for it not being currently committed on the Blender branch. I think like Pablo, who's mainly doing the blunt work of the sculpt features of the sculpt branch, is probably focusing on the cloth brush, which I have to be honest is not my favorite brush. I saw Andrew Price have a tutorial about it, and saw other artists try to use it, but I feel like it's a more convoluted way to have... I think it's a good tool to quickly have a shape going on, and of that you can start sculpting the details. But I feel like the normal cloth simulation also does that task pretty fine. So it feels like a little bit of a way to get some results quickly, but not good results. I don't know. It feels so specific, because I tried to use it on cloth. I tried to use it on projects. I've tried to experiment with it, and I can't feel. I can't find my feel with it. And I think that's the point. But yeah. The sculpt painting tool, on the other hand, is a way for me not to have to retopologize, and I can just paint the character. It gets in the way of some things, like I do kind of hack it in a way where I use the values, the red, green, and blue values, to define the roughness values and the subsurface values. And it's not kind of super correct, and painting multiple maps with the sculpt painting tool is not the most lucrative way. So I'm still somewhere in between of like wanting to retopologize and texturing then, instead of trying to sculpt paint everything. Because I even got an error here, like with the scarf, I couldn't get the sculpt painting that I did out of there. Yeah, and I think that even at some points it kept crashing, and I just gave up and then gave it a shader. But I'm pretty happy with the paint on the face and the hands. I Also in those, like the sculpting, I try to go more into detail, try to go more realistic, a little bit dirty. I think here I added fins in between the fingers. Yeah, you can see that probably like some things are missing, like the hat suddenly appeared. So I try to record when things are happening, because there's also a lot of testing happening, a lot of like me waiting for a render to finish, or me just trying to figure something out, and that might not be the most interesting part to look at. I think like also modeling or like sculpting the hat might not be the most exciting things to look at. Not to say that at some points I maybe even forgot to render, forgot to record. So yeah, that definitely happened as well. But you can see me here sculpting more details in the hat. It took me a while. I looked at some reference, tried to get like a feel for the thickness of the fabric, how the folds would go, how the hat would like shrink in and on itself without it looking too floppy, I guess is the correct term. I always like regret sculpting some parts instead of just modeling them, like the hard part of the hat. I think I could have made it a lot more solid if I just modeled it, and I could have had more control over texturing it and stuff. That's again me being a little bit lazy, a little bit realizing that that might not be the most important part of the piece. So I just kept it at that. I am pretty happy with how it turned out. But it's always like if you sculpt it and then you finish sculpting it and then just thinking to yourself, if I modeled this, it would have gone a little bit quicker. It's definitely a mentality I've shared. Yeah, you can see me here starting to shade the eyes. I want to get kind of like a mirror glossy look. I even put the metallic property to like halfway, I guess. That gave a nice look to it. You can see me doing a little bit more detail, like checking out where the eyes go, where the eyelids go. This like fine tuning of the emotion. You see that I corrected the lips and all that good stuff, and that I kind of got his emotion where it should be now. You can kind of see me here correcting the scarf a little bit, trying to figure out how everything should look. I'm still like, clothes are still like a demon for me. Here you, by the way, can see how I turned it around to a full scene. I'm kind of like here putting things in this set. I knew I was going to have some depth of field, so I wasn't going too much into detail in the background. Not to pull away from the focus. Like in the end, I maybe feel like I could have added a little bit more. But then again, I think the textures I added to the floor and the wall and kind of added to the grunge feel of the scene a little bit. I guess definitely the hardest part was getting the silo right. I put in a little Suzanne just to get a feel of like if I put something inside, how does it look? And from then on, it was really like this is one of the experimenting parts where you can really see me adjusting settings, trying things out, trying funky things with the shader, rendering it out, looking how it looks, evaluating, and then going back and changing some things again. Here I changed like some things for the silhouette. So always going back and forward, always trying new things. Here I tried to add something on the eye line to maybe, because there's a bit of a Dutch angle going on here, and I kind of want to emphasize that. In the end, I removed it. I added a Suzanne in the doorway, and I was playing with the idea of adding a silhouette there so it doesn't look as empty, and to add to the story. Jumping back to the to the fabric of the clothes, you will notice, and I think this might frustrate even some people, that I really tend to jump around, especially once I start to go into the last, I guess, 20-30% of an art piece. And I really try to figure out how it should look. I might really change a lot of stuff. Here I, by the way, ended up going for the vertex paint instead of the sculpt paint because the sculpt paint didn't work. But that's like the thing about the sculpt paint that works a lot better than the vertex paint is the color picker. And that's the only reason, or well, one of the reasons. The performance is also way better, but the color picker in the sculpt paint just worked. Like even if you were in a shaded view, if you color picked a color, it took the actual color that was on the vertex. Instead, what the vertex painting does, it takes the viewport color, which really bothered me. Here you can see me doing something pretty interesting. I needed a silhouette for the door, and I decided on having some kind of businessman. So I was like, okay, how can I make a silhouette as quote-unquote quickly as possible without like having to go on full-on sculpting a character? So the silhouette for me was the most important part. I even based my other... I made a sculpt of a human that was kind of based on this kind of form, because I kind of liked the form, and I kind of made a character from it. But I was like, okay, normal 50s, 60s businessman. It was even a little bit inspired by some portraits of H.P. Lovecraft, because this piece was also kind of inspired on the Lovecraftian lore. I've been reading the Necronomicon. I've been going into like things that are based off this cosmic horror, and also in mix with some Guillermo del Toro kind of romantic horror types of deals. And I'm really like fascinated by it, and really love that style, and I want to do more in that style, mainly because it will also push me to do more detailed stuff, push me in sculpting, instead of like keeping on making stylized stuff, like Pixar style stuff, and being caught in a trap of trying to fine-tune that until it finally looks good. Yeah, here I'm trying out the silhouette and how it already works in a door frame. But yeah, I really want to do more detailed stuff and more gritty stuff, because I feel like that's really what I want to create, and I don't want to, you know, not to diffuse the fact that, you know, if you want to make Disney characters, if you want to make stylized characters, that's all fine and dandy. I still like doing that from time to time as well. You can see me use the pose brush here, by the way, which is also a cool brush for blocking out. I've seen examples of people use it on like finished sculpts, or like, oh yeah, you can easily pose the arm, like especially on the character Julian Kaspar made on in the Blender Foundation that they now shared. But I feel like once I put a little bit of detail in a piece, the pose brush doesn't really, it's very finicky. But yeah, it does its job. Can't really complain about it. So here I try to like put in the silhouette and the necessary things just enough so like the light would catch on it enough that you could kind of see the form of what it was supposed to be. And I'm really happy with the result, because even if the background character is blurry, you can see that it's a businessman with a strong figure waiting for him. And you don't know why he's waiting for him. Is he capturing him? Is he entrapping him? Is he helping him? That kind of adds to the mystery of the piece. Yeah, I'm really happy. Like you can see here, I pay more attention to the side silhouette than the front, because yeah, you only see the rim light being captured on him. So then I sculpted a briefcase. Very quickly reminded myself that modeling is a thing. Because I do have this bad habit of trying to sculpt everything. I was like, okay, sculpting the handle, and like in myself I thought, like, why am I just modeling this? But I don't want to like let go of the the drawing pad for some reason, because then I put it on him, and then I started looking at it, and I was like, oh god, this looks so messy and so dirty, and like a briefcase would look very straight and very constructed. So I started modeling like a very robust hand, that just so much does the trick, enough to sell it. It's a good practice to get like proportions right, like making these kind of background figures, I feel like. But here you can see I took the sculpted briefcase and I started modeling it, and then replaced it. So it's just a lot cleaner. Then it was kind of a little bit too much on the side. It was like he was lifting it, kind of adjusted it in the silhouette. Yeah, kind of looking at the render. This is why I love Eevee. And yeah, that kind of I did a little bit of cleaning up, a little bit of texturing, and here you can see the finished piece. And I'm pretty happy with it. And I might make more of these key shots. Take a little bit longer than like a normal bust. But I'm pretty happy about it. I hope I haven't kept you guys waiting because it's been a while since I uploaded. There also might be a couple of changes regarding how I manage this channel, because I'm going more towards sharing artwork and sharing tips and tricks more than trying to be a corporate channel that tries to monetize classes or something. I don't know. We'll see. I just want to keep things chill and low level, kind of talk with you guys, you know, on a low level. So anyway, if you want to join the Discord and want to have a chat with me, you can join the Discord link down below. If you want to join the Patreon and support me, you can go to patreon.com/bandite. I want to thank all my Patreons, and I especially want to thank Sir Knight Misplaced Shadow for supporting me. Yeah, really thankful to my Patreons. I'm really thankful for y'all, you know, for just liking and subscribing. Yeah. Sorry for all the ums in this video. It's kind of tired. It's kind of in the morning. But yeah, it is what it is. See you guys later. Bye.